When you think about God, what do you imagine he looks like? What language do you think he speaks? I'd imagine most of us would think God looks like Santa Claus, Gandalf from The Lord of the Rings, or Dumbledore from Harry Potter. And you know what all these people have in common? They're old white men with beards. Or in the case of the movie Bruce Almighty, you might think of an old black man with a white beard. So a question I've been wrestling with is, why do most of us have this image of God? Perhaps there's two reasons we can discuss. One, most religious traditions place masculine descriptors on God. And this is the result of the patriarchal societies that have existed throughout time. So if men have the power, naturally, religious metaphors and images would be masculine. In fact, as I scan history, those with the most power tend to reflect the metaphors and the symbols of God. In other words, those with power carved images of God into their own image. So another reason why most of us have this image of God is that those with power often speak about a God who looks like them. And we as a humanity have done this for a long time. We like to think of God as just a bigger version of ourselves. If we have this attribute, then God has this attribute in a larger way. So this is the assumption that many have had. So of course, this goes into how those might imagine God. So those with power often speak about a God who looks like them. And who has the most of the world's power? Well, it's old white men with beards. So of course you have the Santa Claus or the Dumbledore or the Gandalf images that come to mind when talking about God. Furthermore, how many images of Jesus do we have where his complexion is white? And of course, if God is the father of Jesus and Jesus is white, then of course, God being an father of Jesus and looking like Jesus, perhaps he is an old white man. And this is a problem because if you think God is a white man, you might have little problem with white men acting like God on our planet. Which is why our descriptors for God absolutely need to go beyond masculine pronouns and whiteness.